one of the interesting things I've observed the last couple of days, cannot tell you how many times I've thought, I need to change my presentation. I need to go this direction. I need to go that direction. I've also thought, you know, Hallmark as an organization, as a corporation, is so much like each and every one of you. But then I've also thought, we're different. We've got different challenges. And I'm sure all of you have thought of that in the last couple of days as we've talked about mobile and the role of mobile and how we're engaging our customers in mobile and the challenges with our internal leadership and how we're going to sell our customer on it. So it's kind of been great hearing kind of all of these stories about the challenges that you guys have had. What I'm going to walk you through is kind of an interesting story. It's kind of Hallmark's story of local store marketing. And one of the things that's very interesting is to kind of set the groundwork for Hallmark is Hallmark is an interesting dynamic in that we are both a wholesale company and we are a retail company. We have both of those dynamics. We have Gold Crown stores. By a show of hands, how many of you shop Gold Crown stores? And then it's not a bad idea. Okay, it's not a bad thing. Okay. We have about 3,000 rooftops across the country. 3,000. Of those 3,000, 2,600 are fully independently owned. They can do whatever they want. Day in, day out, they manage their hours, they manage their inventory, they manage their presence in the marketplace, any of the local content that they do, they own all of that. 400 is a different dynamic because we kind of use those as almost test stores in terms of the product mix that they have, in terms of the marketing that is done. My unique challenge in trying to manage local marketing is understanding the role of national and what the national marketing does and what each of the individual rooftops has a challenge doing day in and day out. And I work with owners that own one store and are very successful. I also work with some owners. Some of our owners actually own 80 stores or 100 stores and everything in between. And so the dynamic is quite different than, if you will, a Starbucks when corporate has a very strong influence about how they manage content down to the local level. I don't have that benefit. So learning to love what's happening below the line is actually a title that somebody had given me quite some time back, and it's really, you know, we've spent so much time here the last couple of days talking about what's happening above the line, and that's what all the ad agencies are bringing to the table, right? They're the huge advertising campaigns that are doing a great job with some celebrity that's your spokesperson or a Grammy-winning artist who's recording your soundtrack, and it's the beautiful locations that we're filming all across the country, or the high-tech manipulation of content that we're delivering. But it's really what's happening at the local level, day in and day out, that I kind of get jazzed about and I get excited about. Because not only am I building a front end or providing a front end solution, I get to have conversations with the retailers about the challenges that they're having. Now, let me tell you a little bit about our retailers. Our retailers, when I talk to them on the phone, are doing a number of things on that day. Number one, they're trying to physically manage a store, right? Two of their store associates called in sick that day, so they're having to manage that. The one who happened to show up is the one that looks like they fell into a tackle box because of all their piercings. So they're dealing with that dynamic. The toilet has backed up and they just had 8 inches of snow and they're trying to clear it. And then on top of all of that, they're trying to get people into the store. They're trying to manage their business. And I've got that dynamic that I'm dealing with day in and day out. So now that I told you about kind of high level, everybody learns to love what's happening below the lines, and we get all excited about all the national advertising that's done. Let me tell you a story about Katie's Hallmark in Ohio. She has 5 stores, Katie Simpkins. And she's been a great retailer with Hallmark for a number of years. And she does a campaign called Food for Friends. And she basically collects food to go to a homeless shelter, and they do it to kick off the holiday season. And believe it or not, for Hallmark, the holiday season really starts around what we call Ornament Debut, which is the 1st of October. But it really gets into high gear the 1st of November with the holiday open house event. And what she does is she sends out a direct mail campaign to about 7,000 customers, and she's been doing this for the last 25 years. She partners with with a local television station, and she's been sending out this direct mail campaign. And if you bring in a can of food, she will give you a discount on a purchase, and usually it's something like a $10 off your purchase, regardless of what the hurdle is, regardless of the market basket. And if I throw any words out there that happen to be Hallmark-centric, just don't hesitate to raise your hand and say, I don't exactly know what that term means. Hallmark has a habit of kind of coining our own phrases and assuming that everybody needs to come and follow our understanding. Okay, so she does this campaign and has done it the last number of years, okay? This last holiday season, she brought in, I think, 1.5 tons. A ton and a half of food. The direct mail campaign itself had a 5.5% response rate, and what we call the IAT, or the market basket, the transactional amount at every register for every consumer, was $90. So what I like to say, to steal a coin a phrase from our friends at Visa, a can of green beans, 69 cents, free publicity, priceless. Okay, so again, gives you an impression of the value of local store marketing, but very much a grassroots effort. Because obviously what she is doing and the relationship that she has built with her customers is very different for her and her stores and her customers than this Hallmark store down the street. And of course, it's also challenged because if she's in a mall or a strip center, is there a big box just down the street that also carries Hallmark branded content, but at a lower price? All of those dynamics, she, the retailer, is dealing with day in and day out. Okay, so let me take you through the journey. And it's really been an exciting journey for Hallmark. I've worked for Hallmark for about 10 years. And for about 7 of those 10 years, I've been focusing on the one-to-one marketing space that we do at Hallmark, but specifically local store marketing. And I've dabbled in this space, so we're going to talk about going local. We're going to talk about the online toolbox, the front-end solution, which is the order capture mechanism that our retailers engage in to build their content. But does it work? Obviously, we saw the experience of Katie Simpkins, but I'm going to show you some numbers of what we're generating through our system to help retailers move the needle for people and dollars into their store. We're going to talk about the sum of the parts. And the sum of the parts is interesting because in the bio, it talked about some interesting work that we've been doing actually the last couple of years of how do you take the national resources, literally the dollars that are available nationally for marketing, and how do you work those into what is being done locally and kind of help to further the cause, further the mission of what we're doing. And it's kind of a very quick, but it's an exciting scenario that we entered into. And finally, getting the word out. Getting the word out has been the single biggest challenge we have had in the solution that I'm going to walk you through. And I've talked with some of you the last couple of days who have similar solutions and have been challenged. Literally, we thought if you build it, they will come. Wrong. Okay, and when I say you build it, they will come, you build a front-end solution to allow your retailers, to allow your users to build ad content. You make it available. You just tell them it's there. They're not going to show up. They're not going to use it. So then we thought, okay, let's put together a big media blitz. Let's do a huge direct mail campaign to get into every retailer, every owner, and every person in the field team so they're aware. We got a nice little hiccup, but that ended. And then about 1.5 years ago, having done this now for 4 years, I brought on to my team a communications person, because we have that B2B component that we have to manage day in and day out. We have a constant and an ongoing presence with our field, with the retailers, both in the written word, both in the digital space, and both in live audience settings. Okay? So one of the things that we had to do is kind of ground everybody in the nuances. Well, Carlos, what is the role of national? And I need to understand that so I, as a retailer, understand what to do from local. And I think everybody kind of pretty much agrees with the top, and I've in fact heard a lot of that terminology in the last couple of days, okay? The role of Hallmark is, from a national perspective, is to drive home the strength and the relevance of a brand. We have a very good brand for our retailers. and that a Hallmark Gold Crown store is the best place to then experience that brand. We have 13 million consumers, active shoppers, that are part of our loyalty program. They tell us day in and day out that we're delivering on that first paragraph. Okay? But then, Carlos, what's the role of local? If you guys are doing all of that, what am I supposed to be doing from a local perspective? Well, you need to support the brand. All right? You need to support the brand. That's important because we're all kind of singing out of the same hymnal. We have to be telling the same story. But also one of the challenges, you've got to reach new customers. Get people into your store and build a relationship with an individual. Again, build a relationship with the individual and also at the same time give your store credit for marketing. Those are really, from a Hallmark perspective, the key distinctions about local store marketing versus national. All the national does is talk about the brand. How many of you are Crown Rewards members with Hallmark? And so you get the national mailings. You probably just got one the other day for Mother's Day. You got one a few weeks before that regarding Valentine's Day. You'll get one a few weeks from now for Father's Day. Again, it sets up the store as the branded experience, but it doesn't send you to a specific store. That's the difference between what we're doing nationally and locally, because the local has the local flavor all over it. Okay, so when we talk about going local, let me take you back through the history. When we started local about 10 years ago, believe it or not, we had a couple of greeting cards that we provided. And what I mean by that is retailers could enroll in a greeting card and send it to their customers. Okay? So we had a birthday card program. They could enroll in the program, say, hey, Carlos, send birthday greeting cards to my top 100 customers for every birthday. And in it has a coupon. And we did that in New Year's, or we had a New Year's card, and it was in a catalog selling tool that the field, that my sales reps had a conversation with the retailer and say, do you want to do it? Great. Then we had CDs because we did ad slicks, okay? And the ad slicks were very, very static. It was what it was. Couldn't change the offer, couldn't change the message. You would imprint it on a local basis. We're one of the first of its kind to start in a digitally enabled space, a web solution to do retailer email. They would go to a third-party vendor's website, build their content, deploy it. It was one size fits all. No targeting. If you had an email address with a pulse, we sent you an email. If you shopped Mother's Day, we sent you a Father's Day email. It didn't matter. Okay? Then the next version of that, we introduced a holiday card. And since the day we introduced a holiday card, I'm going to show you the numbers in a minute, it's been a very successful space. But again, we still have all of these different types of solutions. Again, we've got 3 greeting cards sold through a catalog tool. But now, guess what? Wouldn't it be cool if we take that understanding of using a web solution to deliver an email, and let's do a web solution to deliver mass market? Now, the reason why I'm showing it to you this way, these are physically 3 different silos. What you get, what you could do, who you could talk to, were managed different ways. Your URL, you had to write them down and remember them, and God forbid they'd all work together. Okay. So then, in about early 2006, we started thinking, let's add postcards to the mix. Well, can you see what we've just done? We've got 4 core solutions, 3 websites, and 1 catalog ordering tool, and we're on a collision course with ourselves. Because the process schedule to manage all of the content across all of them is a huge challenge. God forbid if the service provider that did my web management for Valentine's Day needed an EPS of the images versus these folks needed a PDF versus these folks needed a JPEG. Some of them you could customize the content, some of them you could not customize the content. We were tripping all over ourselves because even trying to engage retailers in this space, there were different models. because these three are in real time. And what I mean by real time is you could sit down today, build a campaign, execute it, and you were done. This one is more of a wholesale model that you're 6-8 months ahead of schedule to do your marketing or to plan your marketing. Okay. So one day over cocktails, I got really creative and I said, what if? Those were the worst words I've ever articulated because that's how it ended to where we are today, the exciting space. What if? Wouldn't it be cool if one website could deliver all of the content? One space to go as a retailer, one shopping experience where you could define all of your content. I could choose between email or a greeting card or a bag stuffer or a coupon. Easy enough. Not so much. Wouldn't it be cool if you could do targeting? You could do consumer targeting in real time off this website. Wouldn't that be cool? And wouldn't it be cool if, once the campaign is in home, I can come back to the website, and the thing that I've heard you guys say over and over again, I can see how I've done. Did it work? Come out to the website, go to reporting, pull up the campaign. This is how many went out. This is how many people came back. This is how much money they spent. Okay? In fact, I just got a text a little while ago. I'm working with a retailer. We're actually working on piloting a very hands-on marketing plan process for retailers where they kind of basically show us under the covers and we see everything that they're doing and we build marketing plans. Have a retailer that we just launched some of his March campaigns for him, and we did a postcard program and the numbers just came in 15% response rate off of the offer that he's doing. He is doing cartwheels. Very, very excited. Okay, but again, very real time, able to go onto the site and be able to do that. So now that we've considered, okay, wouldn't it be cool if we built this one website, we really need to spend some time defining a mission statement, doing all that heavy, burdensome work about what it is, and it becomes the guiding principles of the program. So really, this kind of sets up the story of this thing called retailer customized marketing. In the previous example, I showed you 3 different websites. The postcard solution was actually called RCM, or Retailer Customized Marketing. We actually started building some equity in that name. So when it made sense to do a fully integrated solution, we just brought that name forward. Okay? It's a robust solution that is profitable and sustainable. Hallmark's national marketing budget is not used in any way, shape, or form to support the program. Hallmark does not contribute a dime out of its marketing resources to deliver this solution to our retailers. We are fully sustainable. That includes my staff, that includes the project resources, that includes all of the maintenance effort that we need to do with our site development, our hosting, everything that we do is fully sustainable through this solution, including an online toolbox. Give me all the pieces and parts I need as a retailer to do my job. The reporting, the front-end templates, the images, the offer solutions. Give me all of that stuff. Give me the coaching, the training, the classes that I need to be able to deliver this. Support systems. We tremendously underestimated support systems. Support systems for us is call center. We have a call center operating behind the scenes. Clearly, operators standing by. That has been the biggest single win for our retailers. When we go to conference now, nobody cares about me. They want to find Linda, and they want to talk to Linda, because Linda and Anita are the 2 people that manage our call center. And they are there to do anything from, hey, I can't find this image, to help me understand a little bit of the national marketing strategy that's taking place for Mother's Day and how I can tie into that from a local perspective. So really kind of a soup to nuts approach. So let me kind of take you through quickly the online toolbox. Okay, the RCM program obviously includes a powerful web-based solution, a website, that allows retailer to build dynamic content. So this is where we're starting to get into actually what it is that it can deliver. And you can see up here all the different solutions. We've got emails, we've got coupons, we have postcards, we've got greeting cards, we've got bag stuffers. And retailers are using every single one of them in their business on a day in and day out basis. Some of them are using more than others, okay? All of the print media, by the way, we're only providing the content. At this point in time, we are not working with establishing a relationship with a media outlet. That is up to the retailer. Same with radio scripts. They can customize the radio script content, but they're the ones that are completely responsible for opening up that dialogue. It's something that we're looking at long term, but we're not doing it today. Okay, I'm going to take you kind of quickly through the site to kind of give you a sense of what that experience looks like. I'll probably spend a little more time on the targeting because that's kind of the real bells and whistles of what it is that we provide. But obviously, here's the landing page. When retailers log in, it's password protected. They're authenticated, so we know who you are as a retailer immediately upon login. And the reason why we have to know that is because remember when I talked at the very beginning about giving your store credit for marketing? We got to know where to put or how to put your name, your store's name on each of the pieces you have to do. And we do that automatically, okay? One of the things that's also important because of the fact that it's password protected, remember the 13 million customers that I told you? Each of those customers is tied to a Gold Crown store. And we tie them to the Gold Crown store based on their purchase history. And that's important because those are the consumers that our retailers are targeting for their campaigns. So again, behind the system, a lot of rich data is moving back and forth in very real time to pull that information together. So as you can see here, across the left-hand navigation bar, there's a lot of different product solutions that a retailer has to pick from. Now again, we had 3 websites, we had a catalog ordering tool, so one of the things that we made sure and insisted upon when we developed the site is regardless of whether you're doing a postcard, a punch card, or an email, your user experience is the same way. You pick your product, you pick your template, you select your stores, you do your targeting, you do your customization, you confirm it, you check out, move on. If you've mastered it once, when we add another product to the site, you're golden because you understand that process, okay? So that is one of the things that we've had to learn. Okay, this screen is what we call a product landing page, and it gives you sense of the templates that are available. This has been a huge challenge for us, folks. Huge challenge for us. Templates are simply the foundation. And that's been a very difficult challenge to articulate to retailers because what they do is they scroll through all of these images trying to find the photo that they like. That photo can be changed. And we've marketed that, we've talked about that, we're in front of retailers sharing them with that, and we end up getting a phone call and saying, I can't find XYZ promotional bunny. And I know for a fact XYZ promotional bunny is there. They're just not seeing it here. So again, that ongoing dialogue that we underestimated at the very beginning that we have to do a lot of heavy lifting on. So they pick their template, and then they select their stores. The system automatically shows them the stores, and not only does it show them the stores, if you have a credit issue, we're getting a credit feed. And there's a possibility your store will appear, but you don't have a checkbox. Okay, so in real time, we're getting credit data behind the scenes, and what that means is you as a retailer can't place an order on behalf of that account. We're protecting, I have to protect, at the end of the day, I got to protect my P&L, okay? Targeting, this is the fun part. One of the things that we had to do when we built this solution, and we actually use a third-party vendor that hosts it and manages it, is the consumer data that we support at Hallmark is proprietary data. We've never been in a position where we deliver all of that database, the 13 million consumers and all of the information that supports them. We don't give it to anybody to then do all of the migration or the trolling of the data from it. Okay? So that was very, very critical. This system had to be able to make a real-time call, make a real-time XML call into our consumer database, get the information, and come back. all in less than the amount of time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. Had to do it very, very quickly. Okay. There's a lot of key information that a retailer has available to them. They can identify consumers who have shopped in a certain date range or didn't shop. Show me everybody who didn't shop the holiday window. Believe it or not, that's an interesting new fact for our retailers. 40% of the database does not shop during the holiday period. That is a staggering number. But with that information, our retailers have started to engage those consumers, and they're coming back to the store. And these are consumers that like our store, but for whatever reason, aren't shopping. You can also define consumers by how many dollars they spend, greeting cards, trips to the store. You can also find birth month. You can also do 2 sets of information. Ornaments are big to our business. I know a lot of you are aware of that. We have multiple ornament events. So imagine a solution where you can say, show me everybody who came to Ornament Premiere and show me everybody who came to Ornament Debut or came to either one of those. All of those options are available here. Now, one of the quick challenges, and I'm going to derail my presentation here for half a second because I know that you guys can appreciate this. One of the challenges here is a lot of retailers come to the site and think it's a one-size-fits-all. And what I mean by that is they come and say, show me everybody who shopped Valentine's Day last year and I'm going to send them an offer. But you guys know how you shop, and you know how you shop at retail. And there are certain stores that you will spend $50 and above at. There are certain stores that you don't. I'll use my Old Navy analogy. I was presenting this a couple of days ago. Old Navy does sell blazers. But some of you may never, ever consider Old Navy as a channel where you would buy a blazer. That's neither good nor bad. It's just a personal choice. You'll buy your blazers at Macy's. So if Old Navy decides to do a one-size-fits-all offer and sends you an offer for a blazer and you're not a blazer buyer, totally irrelevant. I know we all know that. But those are the kind of basic conversations I have to have with our users day in and day out. Even some of our big powerhouse users had a conversation with one of our retailers a couple of years ago that has 100 stores. And we were talking about the targeting, and they're like, okay, Carlos, we love the targeting. We need to make it work better for us. And they had budgeted, I think it was about $300,000 in or I take that back, yeah, about $300,000 in marketing spend for their stores. And they also knew how many consumers they had to target. And what they did is they opted with the one-size-fits-all mentality, and they did 10 campaigns. This is just general numbers. They did 10 campaigns, and they got about a 1.5% response rate, combining all those campaigns together over the course of the year. And I think they got about $250,000 in retail revenue. They were okay. After spending some time talking to them about targeting and saying, hey, for Valentine's, you've got all of these consumers, but they buy very different things. Spend a little more time and deliver a relevant offer. Go into the site, find everybody who shopped Valentine's, but look at everybody who's spending between $5 and $10 and give them an offer that speaks to that level of purchase. Do the same thing for everybody who is spending $11 to $20, and the same thing from $25 to $30. And that's what they did. They took the 10 campaigns up to 24. They took the response rate up to 6%, and they took their retail revenue from $250,000 to $1.5 million. Simply because they were speaking to every consumer where she was. Okay? Does that make sense for everybody? Okay, so here's the customization screen where you go in and you actually select all of the content that you want to have available to you. You have the ability to select headline, offer, body copy, subject line. You can select from a whole host of menu options that we provide you, but you can do create your own. Now, the reason why I stop when I say create your own, you have to understand as brand what that means to you. Because I have people misspelling things, and I don't check it. It is up to them. Now, when we originally launched the site, or the first iterations of the customization, the websites, you couldn't customize anything. Why would we allow that? Why would we let a retailer damage our brand. And actually, I left something at my table. The question is it better to provide them a branded user experience where they may misspell something, or let them do this? This is actually an example from our retailer, and I'm sure when I look at it, and I'm not going to pass it out, but I'm sure when I look at it, they just got a new Word program that had 82 fonts, and they were compelled to use all of them. Okay? You laugh. They do it. Okay? So that's something that we have all obviously had to be sensitive to and kind of reconcile with. Okay. Image gallery works the same way, but one of the great things about the image gallery, I've provided over 1,000 images on a yearly basis to our retailers, but they can upload their own. Why do they upload their own? Their local stores. Well, what does that mean? The product mix at a Hallmark Gold Crown store is not all Hallmark product. I'm not sure if any of you are, those of you that are avid shoppers may be very aware of that. It's about a 70-30 split and every iteration between. And what I mean by that is we have some Hallmark Gold Crown stores that 70% of their product is Hallmark product, 30% is not. And we've got the flip opposite. We've got other retailers that have 30% of Hallmark product and 70% of non-Hallmark product. This is a solution that allows them to market their store. It's great if they do Hallmark product, but they have to market their store. If they're a healthy store, they're buying Hallmark product as a wholesale business. And we recognize that clearly. Takes you on and lets you see the proof. You validate the proof, and you're done. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how involved you get, you can execute a complete campaign. If you did email and you hit the submit button, it will deploy by midnight tomorrow night. So you do it now, hit the submit button, by midnight tomorrow night, it will deploy. If it is a postcard, it takes about a week before it hits the mail stream. So really, it's a very quick process to be able to get into the mail stream and engage your customers. Okay, so now we're done with the campaign, but how did it do? Because if I only give part of the story, if I only give part of the help to the retailer, then I've missed this huge opportunity to engage them again and get them to understand what they're doing. So the site actually, along the top navigation, there's a thing of My Reports, and you click on My Reports, and it's very interactive and has a lot of oohs and ahs, and you decide what's the window range you want to look at, what's the marketing type you want to look at. Do you want to look at reporting on behalf of all of your stores, or do you want to just look at store A for the last 6 months of marketing? And this is the reporting that comes up. And obviously, you can see it tells you the New Year's card for a specific store, how many pieces went out. It tells you how many buyers came in. It gives you how many total dollars. Then it goes on to give you a % response rate. But it's all right there. Not high-end math, but it makes it easy for the retailers. Because remember, the toilet is backing up. So they need to get to the information very, very quickly. Okay? Driving people in dollars. So is it working? What are they doing, and how are they using it? What I've done is I've broken down what the site provides into kind of some broad strokes. Postcards is just generic postcards that they may do on the site. But then you've got greeting cards. And the reason why I'm breaking out the greeting cards is because the greeting cards are what we call foundational components. We try to tell retailers, if you're not doing anything, do something in the greeting card space. No kidding aside here, we all know a greeting card is a piece of direct mail piece. But for a consumer, it's very genuine, very authentic. It increases loyalty and appreciation on behalf of the consumer. And it does a great job of driving traffic. So direct mail postcards, to give you a perspective, The system mailed out 5.6 million of those bad boys last year. 5.6 million at a 5.5% response rate on average. Some retailers do better, some don't do so well. Some use targeting, do much better. Those that don't do targeting don't do so well. Birthday cards, 4.2 million birthday greeting cards. Almost 12% response rate. New Year's card, close to 1 million, 12.5%. The holiday card, 19.8% at 2.7 million pieces sent. Email, 22 million, 22 million at a 0.4% response rate. Okay? So as you can see, this local store marketing solution allowed Hallmark to get out 42.5 million messages that we didn't pay for as a corporation when we did our national marketing. And I know you all can look at that number at 42.5 and you can do the math. You know what a direct mail campaign costs to produce, postage, but that's just to produce it. We haven't even talked about the liability related to the offer. Okay? So, here's the big number. All of the 42 million delivered 50 million in retail revenue to our retailers. So it's driving traffic. It's working. It's getting customers in their store day in and day out. Okay? So the sum of the parts. This is the kind of a quick story about how I've worked closely with what we call the integrated marketing team. It's the folks that manage all of the national work that you see, and we really have a very, very close alliance, close relationship in terms of understanding what's being done nationally and what can be done locally to both support that, either from a brand, a timing, whatever perspective it is. In 2009, we had our holiday greeting card, and this is kind of what it looked like. It's got foil on it, it's got die cuts, all sorts of wonderful things, and it's got a coupon that's on the inside, and a retailer gets to decide which version of the coupon they want delivered to their consumers. We mailed 1.7 million. Each of these costs the retailer 51 cents. And for the 51 cents, they get the greeting card, the envelope, the gold seal, the personalization, the postage, all of the data behind it, all of the reporting. It's done. Okay? That year, we got a 20% response rate, and it worked out that for every piece sent, for every single piece mailed, $7.50 of retail revenue. Okay? It is a great program, and it has done very, very, very well for us as a company and for retailers. But I thought, you know what, we're only scratching the surface here. Could it do better? So we got a lot of analytics folks together in one room, and they came back to the table and said, you know what, we know that there's untapped potential here. We believe the consumers that you've been able to engage, the 1.7 million consumers that you've been targeting, we believe that there's a lot more of those people around. Well, how many more? We believe there are 3 million ideal consumer targets. And so this is the challenge. This is literally the conversation we were having 1 year ago in April as we were planning holiday 2010. But we have a gap there of 1.3 million, okay? Where's the gap coming from again? The previous year, they mailed out 1.7, but there are really 3 million consumers. There's a shortfall of 1.3 million. There's a 1.3 million consumers that I think I can engage. But how are we going to encourage retailers to mail deeply? Okay, this is almost doubling their volume. The history of the economy in 2008 and 2009 holiday isn't that far back in their minds, folks. How am I going to tell a retailer who may not believe in direct mail or any kind of local marketing that I now need you to spend double the amount, even if it's a 20% response rate? Even if for every coupon that you get in, you get $7.50 or $40, but for every piece mailed, you get $7.50. Well, maybe corporate marketing could do it. Well, corporate marketing didn't budget for it. Okay, simple math, folks. 1.3 million pieces that corporate marketing has to do at about 25 cents a piece, which is what we would normally pay for a program like that for production and postage, is about $325,000. But then we got that offer. Well, let's say we did a 5-off offer. Kind of rich, but it's kind of consistent with what we do. At a 20% response rate, that's $1.3 million in retail revenue. Excuse me, $1.3 million in liability costs that we need to cover. So if we take the 1.3 million plus the 300, I'm going to have to pay as a corporation for national marketing $1.6 million potentially to reach out to an additional 1.3 million consumers. But what happens if we combine our resources? What happens if we get creative in terms of how we work together? Oops, let me go back. Okay. So what we did is we got together and we said, okay, if we need them to mail twice as deep, what happens if I gave them a 50% discount? What a deal. You can mail twice as deep, but I'm not going to charge you any more than I did the last year. That would work. That's an easy story for me to market and sell. Okay, so basically simple math is I knew what it would cost me to produce 3 million pieces, and I knew the income I would get at 50% off on the 3 million pieces, and I still had a $400,000 gap between the two that I needed to close. Because remember, at the end of the day, I'm running a business, and I need to be made whole because I've got all sorts of other costs associated. So I had $400,000 shortfall. Well, at that point, marketing said, sure, 400,000, we're on board, because the alternative wasn't looking very good for us. Okay? So how, I'm sorry I didn't have it there. Before I get to getting the word out, we didn't get retailers to step up to the 3 million. We landed at 2.7 million, so we got real close. We were ecstatic. We were ecstatic because obviously they mailed a lot deeper. Response rate was 19.8 million or 19.8%, and the IAT was about $40 in terms of the market basket. And so in other words, it delivered $22 million in retail revenue. That program alone delivered $22 million in retail revenue. Okay, getting the word out. I was sharing with you earlier that you build it, they will not come. We spend a tremendous amount of my time, or the team's time, getting the word out. We've got conferences around the country. We've got national sales meetings where we're constantly trying to engage the field, trying to get them to understand the role and the value of local store marketing. Some will go there quite easily with you. Some will struggle with you. It's the same with retailers. We have tremendous face time with retailers, and one of the challenges is when I'm in a venue like this, I can tell that I've resonated and connected because I see the nods. Trying to explain this solution in written word is very difficult, especially when you have new solutions that you're bringing onto the website, new projects, new programs. Trying to explain functionality, after the first sentence, they've moved on, and I have to recognize that as a program manager. So what have we learned? There's good cop, bad cop. You have to understand the role of your brand, but you also have to listen to your retailer in terms of what they need and they want. But ease into it. Again, if I would have told my marketing team, my marketing design team, when we started this project, that we're going to allow retailers to upload their own image, that would have been considered heresy in the halls of Hallmark. That would have been. But now here we are, 4 years later, and we've eased into it. And we have been able to show results and how it is driving business. We may not like the image that they've uploaded. These people aren't photographers. They're taking their smartphones, they're snapping a photo, and they're moving on. But you know what? It's what's in that photo that really resonates. I had a retailer that owns 2 stores. Their store associates in one store is a very young group of store associates. And when I say young group, they're like probably early 30s. The other store has a very mature group of store associates. By mature group, I'm talking in their 50s. They took a photo of each of those people, and they did a campaign on behalf of each store, and they uploaded the respective photo. It's a win. That consumer gets that piece and connects. I get that the photography wasn't studio quality, but at the end of the day, it did what? It gave the store credit for marketing. The consumer connected, and she came in. Pain tolerance. Understand where you're coming from in terms of budget, in terms of your capital, your human and your financial capital. What you're willing to spend and what you're willing to take on and own. Do you want to take on the role of being the call center? Or is it better to coach and train an external solution that already has that rapport and pay them to do that? Do you want to do the development yourself? Are you willing to have a customizable solution, which is hundreds and thousands of dollars, but if you walk away, you can take it with you? Or do you want an off-the-shelf solution? Off-the-shelf solution means it is what it is, but you might find a happy medium there, which is what we did. If you build it, they won't come. Don't underestimate the power the need to engage and keep things going. Get the word out there, coach, teach, train, and then keep growing and reaching. Have a way to capture the new ideas. Have a way to grow the business. Have a way to really look at new things and put new initiatives in the pipeline. So having new initiatives in the pipeline, let me give you a couple of ideas of where we're taking the program in the near term. The first thing later this summer is we're introducing a solution called Offers on Receipts. You come to the website, you build your campaign, and through the magic of technology, that offer will print out on your customer's POS tape. Okay? We're ready to go on that. We're going to be piloting that right after Mother's Day at a couple of alpha stores. That speaks back to testing at stores to see what that looks like. One of the big initiatives that we're working on this year that's supposed to launch sometime next summer is retailer-enabled websites. In the same way you build your own direct mail content, you will build your own retailer website. Again, they own their own stores. They own their own destiny. 80 of our owners, we have 1,200 owners, only 80 have a web presence. Only 80. But as we've all heard, she, being the customer, decides where she wants to find us, and she can't find her local store in the digital space, and she needs to be able to do that. We're having some challenges pulling that off because, again, we're a wholesale retail model. There's some rev sharing components that we're having to deal with, so we're dealing with all of that as well. One of the new ads that our retailers are really excited about is they're going to be able to start uploading their own consumer list to the site. We're planning on bringing that sometime later this summer, where they can have their own managed list, they can do their own prospecting, consumer purchase list, junior league, whatever the case is, and they can upload that into the retailer customized marketing website. Okay? That's it. So hopefully that walked you very quickly through Hallmark's local store marketing version. You know, there's so much that we learn from what our national team is doing that we have to apply, and then hopefully this is giving you a real good indication of how we have rolled out that program. Okay? Any questions?
I'm fascinated. We did something similar to the front end of this for Dell years ago for their campus computing center, but nothing even remotely similar to the back end of the system with all of the credit card information, the customer assignment, and all of that. And one of the reasons that they sent it out to an agency was because of the massive political situation that it made for them internally between marketing, IT, different channels within marketing and everything. And so my question is around how did you get all the moving parts together, and on what time frame were you able to waymake for this project? I mean, it's really impressive when you
Thank you.
consider the political situation that's sort of created.
Absolutely, absolutely. In terms of the timeline, in order to deliver the solution, we started, the website that I showed you today was launched in the fall of 2009. So we just had our second anniversary, or first anniversary. We started development that winter, the winter before. And we had the RFP out the middle of 2008. So we were very much on an accelerated path. Now, one of the things that we had to grapple with, though, is did we want to build the solution? Did we want a fully customized solution? Or were we willing to take something off the shelf? There are kind of three core categories that we found. There are those that you can define a fully customized solution where you have to decide all the way down to what the last button looks like. There are those that are a strictly off-the-shelf solution, which is basically I'm going to give you a puzzle box and there's only one picture that it can make. And then there's a hybrid, and we had to go with the hybrid. And basically it's, I'm going to give you a bunch of puzzle pieces and you can build it as you choose. And that's what we chose to do. But there are dollar implications to all of those. One of the challenges that we also had is we had solutions. So the cutover, it's a very stressful solution because when we cut over, retailers still had to have a way to do their direct marketing. And we were like 6 weeks late, which pushed us right into the ornament period. Now, I know 6 weeks isn't a big deal when you talk about a 1.5-year life cycle, but we were slicing it very thinly, and we literally shut off like on Friday. Actually, we went dark. We had 2 weeks where retailers didn't have anything. And then we started rolling out everything the Tuesday after Labor Day in 2009. Okay? In terms of internal struggles, you know, I think one of the things that's been easy is because I don't want to call us a profit center because we're not, but we're sustainable. Okay? And because of that, we can pay the bills. We don't have to worry about competing against other resources to be able to do what we do. A lot of the IT effort that is done within Hallmark, you know, you're prioritizing, and it's the same with every company. We've heard it all, you know, the last couple of days. We could pay a bill. Okay, so we were able to do that.
What's your participation rate among these 1,200 owners? How many participate and go into the tool and actively use it?
It depends on which program you're talking about. The greeting cards, the holiday card enjoys almost an 85% participation rate. Postcard enjoys about a 70% participation rate. Email is, I think the last numbers I saw was at about a 75% participation rate.
What was your expectation?
That's where we failed. We didn't do enough research before we went into this space. There's a lot of competition in this space. There's a lot of public offerings available to retailers. Snap Retail, Constant Contact, Premium Postcard, Vistaprint, Kinko's, local printer, local ad agency, local design studio. And I inherited the project after we kind of had done the initial brainstorming. John, we spent no time doing that. But every year we're getting more and more experience in that. But I do want to go back to something that I had just answered for you. The group of retailers that aren't playing, it's really interesting why they don't play. It's not because necessarily they're not tech savvy, though that is a certain component to it. I was visiting with a retailer in January who has 12 stores. So, I mean, to have 12 stores, you got to be pretty successful, right? And I said to her, why didn't you do the holiday greeting card? Well, because we felt that if business started going south, Hallmark would step in. Well, kind of, sort of, not really. Hallmark will step in to do national marketing, to course correct when there's something that's going on across the entire network, not within a neighborhood. And I told her, I said, you left a lot of money on the table. What was interesting about the holiday card is 75% of the owners that participated got 20% and above response rate. So I did the quick math for her, and I said, could you afford to leave that amount of money on the table? And I mean, their eyes bugged out. And I said, it's an acknowledgement of your customer. It's an appreciation for their business. It's loyalty building.
Sustainable. How do you make it sustainable?
Because the retailers pay for each piece, for every contact that goes out. They don't pay a maintenance fee to use the site. I make sure that there's enough pad in there in terms of what they pay. No, we don't print. We send an automatic fee, and that's our relationship with Quantum. An automatic feed, and so Quantum handles some of the production that is managed through the site.
How did you say that you build and they will come, they will work?
Right.
You're at 85%.
Because we market it. We spend a tremendous amount of time doing B2B work. When I said build it and they won't come, you can't just build it and walk away and expect that if you say that I've got this thing, that they'll use it. We do ongoing, we do email communication. The way you get to the website is through an intranet called Hallmark Retail Connect. And we have a space on that page that does a lot of hype, a lot of marketing. We send out a retailer email probably on a weekly basis. We've done direct mail campaigns. We're having strong consideration right now in doing one later this summer. So we're always out there every time, and also every time that I know either the field or retailers will be together. Not everybody, doesn't have to be everybody, but for example, we do new owner training at Hallmark. New owners come into the building and they're there for about a week. I make sure that I'm on that agenda. Not a problem. I was asked that question last night, and the answer that I gave is not near term. And the reason why is we still struggle with adoption. We struggle with people accessing the site through a landline, through dial-up. And so there's a huge technology gap in the users. And so we're really struggling. So we're just now having conversations about what Facebook is, okay, with our retailers. Some have gone there. Some have a Facebook presence. Others are like, what? It's the internet, and there's all sorts of pirating going on, and they're going to be trolling and robbing my store. And yeah, that's what we're dealing with. So we're dealing with. So it's baby steps. Okay? No. No. The total cost is on them. The total cost of doing the execution and the total cost of the offer is totally on them. Okay?
For the last question, you mentioned adoption rate. How did you incorporate how many customers actually redeem the offer?
Through POSX, yes.
And is the coupon customized for each mailing?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you brought that. When you select an offer within the system, we use a piece of functionality called interdependent content. So when the offer is selected, it's automatically pulling a UPC, terms and conditions, and ring instructions with it. That data is fed down to POS. So when the POS scans it, it knows exactly what to do, how to redeem whatever the offer is. And then obviously feeds back up into Hallmark. Yep.
So the offer's predefined on there, or they just have to pick from which one?
There's a list, David, of 32 offers, but they can also do a create your own. And the create your own also has multiple UPC options. So they can pick, because if they do a UPC, create your own today and do another one next week, they're going to be tripping over that in terms of response rate. So they can pick a different UPC. And so we can segment all of that out, and we're able to track.
How does the legal get created for each?
There's a default, and it's editable. So it pulls in, but they can change it however they choose. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.